Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the presentation of the Distinguished Service Awards for LACMA's 33rd Annual Convention. I'm Dr. Lynn Steinman, a LACMA board member and a former president. This afternoon, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce you to State Senator Anthony J. Portantino, recipient of this year's LACMA Distinguished Legislative Award. Senator Portantino has been a strong advocate for mental health access and services across a variety of settings since first being elected to the State Assembly in 2006. He represents California's 25th State Senate District, which stretches along the 210 freeway from Sunland to Hunga to Upland. He proudly represents the Rose Bowl, JPL, Griffith Park, Warner Brothers, Disney, Caltech, and the Claremont Colleges. Supporting public education, mental health, and sensible gun control have been priorities for Senator Portantino during his time in office. His accomplishments are rich and varied. To name just a few, he has championed increased funding for special education, authored legislation that pushed back school start times for middle and high schools, and placed the suicide hotline number on student identification cards. He has authored numerous bills to ensure that students receive mental health education, screening, and allowed absences for mental health needs. In addition, his efforts have created a science fellowship in the state capitol and established a unique partnership between the University of California and historically Black colleges and universities. Senator Portantino has promoted bills over several years to require health insurance coverage for all forms of behavioral health treatment for Californians with autism spectrum disorder. Prior to his service as a representative, he spent many years working in film and television production, served on the California Film Commission, and spent nearly 8 years on the La Cañada Flint Ridge City Council with 2 terms as mayor. Taken together, the senator has demonstrated himself to be genuinely concerned with the health, safety, and psychological well-being of Californians, and is a very good friend to psychology. In conclusion, Senator Portantino is truly deserving of this award, and I'm delighted to present it to him. Congratulations, Senator Anthony Portantino, on winning the LACMA 2021 Distinguished Legislative Award.
Well, thank you, Dr. Steinman. That's quite a lot you said, and I'm embarrassed. But thank you for presenting this award to me and for LACMA for recognizing the efforts. As you know, we're all dealing with the pandemic in many ways. So it's quite an honor, and I will hold up the plaque so y'all can see this wonderful plaque that I was awarded. It means a lot to me to be recognized by the Los Angeles County Psychological Association during these interesting times. It was said, may we all live in interesting times. We certainly are. That word unprecedented has been overused. But if you think about the challenges of being shut in for over a year, for families, for kids, for little kids, medium kids, teenagers, it's been a challenge on all of us. The impact on the economy has been a challenge for many families, making sure there's food on the table and a roof overhead. People have been under enormous stress. And I've tried to be not just empathetic, but also to think about how we can help our families and help students as they return back to school. And so, again, thank you to the association for recognizing those efforts. I was pleased that just a week ago, the governor signed SB 14 and SB 224 to help young people as they transition back to in-person learning. We all know that there's many reasons why a kid could be absent. There are physical reasons, and then there are mental health reasons, behavioral health reasons. And in California, under education code, they were not treated the same. And teenagers often wondered if their teacher would accommodate them for missing a test or accommodate them if they were home for depression, anxiety, other forms of mental health issues. because they were not recognized by California Education Code. And so SB 14 treats mental and physical health the same way. And this became even more important to me when I had an editorial board early in the process. And one of the editors asked me, what happens if a parent lies about their kid being home for anxiety? And I said, well, the fact that you would ask that question underscores why we need the bill, because you don't ask if the parent is going to lie about a child being home with a cold or a sprained ankle. Why would you assume that a mental health issue would be ripe for a lie? And so the fact that a major newspaper's editor would ask that question underscores how important it is that we need to destigmatize mental health issues. And I've often said, we'll go to a party, we'll talk about our waist, we'll talk about our cholesterol, or we're not going to talk about a family member dealing with a mental health issue, bipolar, depression, anxiety, something like that. And we have to get better at talking about it. One of the things that I do is I talk about my older brother who struggled with depression and ultimately and tragically took his own life, because I want people to know that every family has somebody that has struggled. Every family is dealing with these issues. And I think it's important that we bring it out of the shadows. And so that's one of the reasons why I do so much in this space. I was proud to put the suicide prevention hotline on our student IDs. 99% of our students aren't going to need that number, but those who need it are going to be able to access somebody to help them. And the other thing that putting it on the student IDs did is it stimulated the conversation. I had countless parents and teenagers tell me about how they went home and talked about that with their parents and what it meant to them to have that resource available, and it stimulated that conversation. You mentioned moving school start time later. One of the biggest reasons why I was a proponent of starting high school later in the morning is because of all of the research that says students' health and welfare will be better if they sleep more in the morning. The frequency of suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, self-medication all go down in those schools that have moved to a later start time. And so not only do test scores and attendance and graduation rate goes up, but those other challenges all go down. And so that was a big reason why I embraced the research and fought hard to move school start time back. I'm working on a dyslexia bill right now. Again, we all know that many, many young people struggle with undiagnosed learning disabilities. And there's studies to show that if we can intervene in first grade, it's better for the student, it's better for the institution, it's cheaper and more efficient to help a first grader become a reader and deal with their dyslexia than it is when they're in 8th grade or in high school. And so I want to have mandatory screening, 30-minute screening to screen for those predisposed to dyslexia. And so I'm going to continue to champion kids. I'm going to continue to push for more mental health awareness. My agenda is in the final 3 years of my Senate term, I'm going to continue to focus on those issues, in particular, how they relate to education as well. Increasing funding for special needs was important. And, having a partner like the Los Angeles County Psychological Association and all of the folks that you deal with, all of your members, it's important, because what affects one of us affects all of us. And we should continue to try to make as much of a difference as we can, never focusing on having to think about making a big difference, but making just some positive difference for those around us. And so thank you again for this award. And I really appreciate being here to share my thoughts and that you're going to play this for everyone. And I'm just excited and humbled by this recognition. And thank you very much, everybody.
Well, once again, congratulations on your well-earned award, and thank you so very much for your magnificent service.